rush. In the rush to get everything going, folks, we forgot to hit the button. We've had some severe technical troubles. I'm sorry we were late, but welcome to the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series, race number 1 of the chase. You saw that Maxwell Castro was the driver who's going to start on the pole here tonight. Big shout out to him, one of our chase drivers. And finally, looks like we can get everything up and running here tonight. Drivers on their final pace lap coming around to take the green flag here tonight. And do apologize for everything, folks. We're getting things running last minute here to get this show on the road. And speaking of getting this show on the road, the pace car heads down pit road. Maxwell Castro leads us to green. Philip Scott on his outside, and that is the wrong graphic, folks. It has been that type of a day as they head towards turn number 1. Maxwell Castro going to pull ahead, and here comes James Miller. He's been very fast since working his way to the National Sim Racing Association. Got Tim Hortons on the hood of his Toyota Supra. A small field here tonight, Garrett, but looks like the number 15 leads lap number 1, but Miller sliding on the inside gets a little bit slideways, trying to clear that number 15 and take the race lead.
Yeah, like you said, Peter, James has been fast every race he's been here, and he is wasting no time getting to the lead here. Wants to show these boys that he is here and he is a contender to win this race. I'm a little surprised to see that 99 Philip Scott falling back. Usually he's someone that when he's on that outside of the front row, he wants that lead in turn 1, but he's struggling now and under pressure for 4th place.
And if you're just now joining us, this is chase race number 1. If you see a C by the driver's name, they are one of the chase drivers, like Race Clark there at the top of the screen. It says Clark-C. That indicates he's one of the chase drivers. Meanwhile, James Miller, who's not one of the chase drivers, is able to clear Maxwell Castro. And here comes John Cannizzaro Jr. in the number 17. He's going to work his way up into second. Jason Gracias is in 4th. He's the second-place driver of the chase drivers right now. But so far, Miller and Cannizzaro kind of playing spoiler.
Yeah, and Peter, that can be expected in a chase race from my point of view, is because these chase guys are out here, they know they have to race for points, and they're not going to take some unnecessary risks early in the race. So these guys who have pretty much nothing to lose, if they could get out front and start putting some laps down, they could be also be there at the end, but they have so much less to lose than these guys, so not surprising so far as these guys feel out this hot, slick racetrack.
Yeah, they start to feel out this racetrack, and we had heard from several of the drivers that it is a little bit tricky to drive here tonight. These drivers are going to have to be managing wheel spin all night long, managing your tires and the temperature you have in those particular tires. One driver I am a little bit surprised isn't further up through the field right now. That is Race Clark down in the 11th position right now. And of all the chase drivers, he's currently being scored the lowest. And that number 22 machine, we saw him so good at Nashville Fairgrounds at his home track. This racetrack is, I wouldn't necessarily say similar, but it is a racetrack that it has that old unique flair that Nashville Fairgrounds kind of has in its own right. But right now, Race Clark outside the top 10 in the 11th spot. We're hearing that Steven Doziak has had a moment. Green flag has stayed out in the air. Let's see if we can see what happened to the driver of the number 55 machine here, Garrett.
Yeah, let's take a look at this replay. Peter Doe's usually just feeling his way out at the back of the pack, trying not to cause any issues. And yeah, a little too much beans coming off the corner there, Peter. Snapped loose on him, but it looks like he avoids major damage. And if you get it righted, he should be able to get a free pass from Brookstone Animal Hospital before the night's over.
Yeah, if we have caution flags, it's a relatively small field, and the smaller the field size is, the chances of caution flags does diminish. Although, since we've already seen a couple, well, mainly just Steven Doziak having a moment there, you think that we'll probably see some more throughout the night from some other drivers. I'm sure he won't all be in that boat. You can see the top two starting to pull away, and one car right there, right behind Drew Eisenman, having a little bit of a moment. That is Martin Plute in the ski number 4 machine right there. Looks like he might have got a little bit loose coming off the corner. We're also hearing that Justin White has had problems on the inside of the racetrack in the number 2 machine, and caution flag has finally come out, so that will be good news for the number 55 machine. And Garrett, let's see if that is very similar to what happened to the number 55 machine. We saw Doziak get loose, loop it around. Let's see if it happened to Justin White here in the number 2.
I figure here he comes off the corner, looks good through the center there, and then just snapped around on him, and he was not as lucky as Steven Doziak. And Peter, for a second there, I thought Justin White was using his league administrator privileges to run backwards and see if he could maybe form some sort of strategy to beat these guys, but that was not the case, as he just lost it coming off the corner here.
And that's the onboard look from the number 2 machine, so caution flag number 1 in the air here tonight, and we'll see what's going on out there on the racetrack as we speak, and the field just pacing behind the iRacing pace car. Let's go check out the chat, folks. I want to appreciate all y'all in the chat saying, I think I'm deaf, I don't hear anyone. And yeah, you didn't hear anyone because the mics weren't hot quite yet, and we were scrambling to get everything going and up and running. John Canizaro joined us in the chat briefly. Steven Doziak in the chat joined us briefly. They're both out there on the racetrack. Stan Hausman joining the chat. Stan, thanks for tuning on in. And it looks like, speaking of Stan Hausman, got to point out the fact that Steven Doziak Jr. is our first Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner. Of course, Brookstone Animal Hospital out of the greater Atlanta, Georgia area. If you're in that area, make sure you check out our friends over at the Brookstone Animal Hospital. That goes to Steven Doziak Jr. in the number 55 machine. Of course, it is the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series chase race number 1 here tonight, and some great stuff happening on BeerStreetJournal.com recently. If you have not checked it out, Guinness has released a barrel-aged mint chocolate stout, which I'm absolutely stoked about. I love chocolate mint stouts. I love chocolate milk stouts too. But chocolate mint stouts, there's one based in the DFW area that I had a couple of years ago that was from Lakewood Brewing, and it was their mint temptress. Absolutely fantastic beer. Love, in fact, their entire line of temptress. Right now, I think they have a cherry temptress. It's a really heavy stout. But they also did a collaboration with Jack Daniels and did a Jack Daniels bourbon barrel aged stout. That was amazing. But Guinness has released a chocolate mint stout. You can find out about it on BeerStreetJournal.com, as well as all the other news of what is going on in the USA beer scene. Really great place to check out if you're like me. James Miller is your race leader. The iRacing pace car lights have stopped twinkling. That means we will be going green this time on lap number 19 here tonight. Also checking out the chat, we got McLovin Racing saying, let's go Max. Stay tuned Sports as well, saying, thanks Peter, I want mint chocolate beer now for tomorrow. I believe Left Hand has also done one recently, Left Hand Brewing. Hedy Rig also saying, stop apologizing, you're too hot to apologize. Thank you very much. You'll get my sultry voice from now on. Pace cars down on pit road. Bob Giaquinto in the chat. Adam Tama in the chat as well. Green flag waves. And man, a big wiggle out the back of the 09 of James Miller as he tries to get that number 09 Toyota Supra to behave. But here comes John Canizaro to his outside. And Garrett, I like the spot that Canizaro's in right now.
Yeah, I do too, Peter. From my brief experience running this track, I always found it better to diamond off the corners a little bit, or even use the middle lane like Canizaro's doing. I felt like it was easier to control the car and get a run there. So we'll see how long the side-by-side battle for the lead goes by, and if Canizaro can finally pull away from that middle groove.
And James Miller trying to do exactly what you just said there, Garrett. He was given a little bit of room from James Canizaro, tried to wash up the racetrack a little bit just to get that drive up off, diamond the corner, and looks like that 09, he's slowly getting a little bit of ground on the number 17. Can he clear him here up off the corner? Looks like he can. So Miller back to the lead. Meanwhile, single file mostly back behind them. We'll go on board here with the number 4 machine. This is Martin Plute looking at the back of your outside pole sitter here at the top of the show, that being the number 99 of Philip Scott. And ooh, Martin Plute getting absolutely slideways on entry to turn number 3. Maybe he's checking out BeerStreetJournal.com while driving and caused them to just lose the back end a little bit, but he'll keep it pointed in the right direction, looking out back behind Martin Plute. That is the number 69 machine of Steven Lashinsky right there. And behind them, Race Clark, who's got himself inside the top 10. Behind Race Clark is Brady Smith, another one of our chase drivers in the number 10. And Brady right now is trying to run down Race Clark, but Race has worked his way up to the 9th position here, starting to climb. Last time we checked on him, he was down there in the 11th position, so good restart for the number 22. Up the front, you're not missing anything. James Miller right there is just starting to maybe put a little bit of a gap on the 09 machine as the field dives off towards turn number 3. I really like this racetrack. It's a very racy racetrack, if you will. And here comes Drew Eisenman. He's trying to go around the outside of the number 99 of Philip Scott. Eisenman, who started this race in the 6th position. Eisenman gets loose. Great save out of the Eisenman Designs, number 77 there.
Yeah, Peter, I was watching that battle, and actually Drew had the position, and Philip dove underneath him there, and then we caught that battle in progress, and Philip Scott ends up taking the spot from Drew Eisenman after the bobble. But I was noticing the gap between our first 5 or 6 cars, Peter, as the caution is out, but they're pretty evenly spaced up until that point. Let's see what happened on our replay. All right, we're looking at the number 13. And then we're going to have the same situation we've had coming on corner exit. Yes, we do. A little bit of too much on the accelerator. We have some wheel spin. And hello, inside wall. That's a tough break, but it looks like minimal damage. You should be able to get back rolling and stay in this race.
You know, you got to love when your dog just starts barking in the background while you're broadcasting a race. Here we are on board with Jordan Shepler going around out of turn number 4. Like you said there, Garrett, and like our other producer here on 3 Wide TV likes to say, too much beans coming out of the corner, but that puts us under our second caution flag of the night here inside the opening 30 laps. You see a little bit of right side damage on the number 77 of Drew Eisenman. Don't expect damage to hurt him all too much here on this particular racetrack. It's slow enough that downforce doesn't play a significant portion of the grip levels at this track. So he's got some right side damage, but I think he'll be able to fight on. I think that was from that moment we saw him get loose on the outside of Philip Scott. In fact, we'll see maybe if we can go back and catch that on this kind of 3 Wide TV replay right here. See if we can watch this here. Hopefully this is going to show what gave. No, looks like the 77 already had right side damage, so I take that back. But this is the big save, that big wiggle. Thought he might have caught the wall right there up off the corner, but that was some really, really, really good driving out of Drew Eisenman. Let's see if we can go on board now with Drew Eisenman and watch the hands on this corner exit here, Garrett. That is not easy to do there for the 77.
Certainly not easy to do, Peter, and Drew's as talented on the track as he is off the track when he's in the booth with you, and he's been so close to getting a win this year, and I'm glad he was able to save it, and maybe he could be our winner tonight. He definitely has a mulligan after that happened as we're stacking back up and get ready to go green. All
right, well, we have a question that has been asked in the chat, so we will see what the people have to say about whether or not we're going to have mac and cheese with ketchup or not. The fans will vote. Off into turn number 1, James Miller is back to the race lead. John Cannizzaro has slid back to second. Side-by-side battle is an important one. It's between 2 chase drivers, Jason Gracias and Maxwell Castro. Right there, Gracias slides up the racetrack. Castro coming back on the inside. They're going to be side-by-side as they head towards turn number 1. Gracias with a late dive into turn number 1, very late on the brakes, and he's going to complete that pass, so move him now up into third. Meanwhile, Drew Eisenman has been able to get around Philip Scott on this restart as well, so move Eisenman into the top 5. We have chase drivers in 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and if you did not see it earlier in the show, there's the graphic of your chase drivers and the point standings entering into tonight. Jason Gracias, who was, or is, now the highest placed chase driver not only in the standings, but also on the racetrack right now. Good news for him. Chris Darling, not here tonight. Matt Cherry, not here tonight. Maxwell Castro, 4th spot. He's right now 4th on the racetrack as well. Josh Sobel, not here tonight. Brady Smith, we know he's here. Race Clark, we know he's here. Drew Eisenman, we know he's here. Justin White, also here. And I don't believe Jeffrey Vickery is here tonight. So we only have, by my math, 4 or 5, maybe 6 of our chase drivers here tonight. We're missing a handful of them, and that is not going to be good news as they try and vie for the championship.
Yeah, it's not good news for those guys who were unable to make it tonight, Peter, but it's good news for these guys who were maybe 10th or so in points, like Justin White, who just got in. Now's your time to make up these points on these guys, because even if they get a provisional last place points, that's going to be a 17th place finish. So you could put yourself well inside the top 10 here, or even the top 5. You're going to get yourself set up for next week with a good position in points.
Yeah, that's for sure. Meanwhile, looking out back of James Miller and his 09 machine at the front bumper of John Cannizzaro, you just get a little indication of just how bumpy this racetrack is. It also has a unique feature that not a lot of racetracks have, and that is the fact that one end of the racetrack you actually race uphill, the other direction of the racetrack you race downhill. So it's very kind of interesting to see here. You're actually coming up the hill towards turn number 3, and then you go down the hill towards turn number 1. So there you can see them racing down the hill. You can't exactly kind of, well, maybe you can tell from those images, but it causes these cars to actually drive a little bit differently in those corners as well. As we're now going to tune in on this battle, this is just inside the top, well, it was just inside the top, well, it kind of is still inside the top 10. Plute is in the 9th spot. Clark is in 10th. And Steven Doziak down there on the inside, he just came down pit road and took on tires. So 55 has fresher tires than these two around him. That could play into his advantage. Might work against him, however, if we get some more caution flags and other drivers to kind of flip-flop, and then they can take tires and you get the drill. Fresher tires are faster with these cars. Meanwhile, up towards the top 5, look at this battle. This is Justin White. He also just came down pit road. He is on fresher tires in the number 2 machine. As, John Cannizzaro Jr. in the number 17 just smacked the wall. The second place driver has lost a ton of time to our race leader. Let's see if we can go back and see what happened here to John Cannizzaro, G.
Well, Peter, I'm just glad the wall got to smack him before I did, Peter, because he's been asking for a couple weeks now. And if I got my hands on him, I definitely would have returned the favor. But yeah, John he got loose pretty much on the straightaway there, Peter. Must have been a continuing thing from corner exit, I think, onto the straightaway where he just kept trying to save it. I think we saw that a little bit of that in our broadcast on Monday.
Yeah, that is for sure. Let's go back to live scenes here at North Wilkesboro, and John Cannizzaro has been able to hold off Jason Gracias, a very hard-charging Jason Gracias. Max Castro there sitting in the 4th position looking to pounce as well, and Justin White on the fresher tires has actually run down this group of drivers. So the fresher tires, there goes Cannizzaro again, big wiggle out the Purolator number 17, of course the Derek Cope inspired throwback scheme. And Gracias gets around, Castro gets around, and here comes Justin White on the fresher tires. He will also scoot around the number 17, but Cannizzaro here in a world of hurt. Those rear tires are not happy with him.
Certainly not, Peter. And just, we're talking about tires and these guys on these different tire strategies. I was talking to some of the drivers before the race. They told me about 60 laps on fuel, and that was under green. We've had a couple yellows, so I'll look for these guys in about 20 laps to potentially have to pit. But guys like Justin White and Steven Doziak, who have made their pit stop, presumably taking fuel along with their tires, it wouldn't make sense not to. They're going to be able to run a bit longer. And if we see a timely yellow, those guys could be either in the catbird seat, and if they don't get a timely yellow, they could really be in trouble. As we watch Justin White hanging on for dear life again, Peter.
Yeah, White has already had it one spin here tonight, and now he's going to fall back into the clutches of Drew Eisenman in the Eisen Design 77, who's also had a big moment here in this particular race. Meanwhile, back behind them, some good side-by-side action back here. Race Clark still racing with Martin Plute and Steven Doziak, as Plute has a big slideways moment out of turn number 2. We've seen that catch out Steven Doziak earlier in the race. We saw it catch out Justin White, who brought out our first caution flag of the night. Hopefully, caution flag does not come out a whole lot here tonight, as we are now past the 1/3 race distance here tonight at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. See Clark digging down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. James Miller, on the other hand, has gotten out to a 2-second lead at the front of this field. Very impressive for the number 09. We know a win is coming out of James Miller, as Drew Eisenman is diamonding that corner, kind of like you said there, Garrett. Philip Scott, on the other hand, he's electing to kind of try and roll the bottom of the racetrack. Two kind of distinct driver lines coming into effect there.
Yeah, Peter, I'm learning a lot from just watching these guys out on the track with these different driving lines. I didn't really expect to see that all that much, especially with a small field. These guys aren't, fighting for a very limited amount of racetrack. These guys pretty much can run where they feel comfortable, but these guys are searching all over, and you see guys making time in a variety of different places. You also see guys struggling, like John Cannizzaro. It looks like off of every corner he's about to lose it, so I'm sure that number 17 is looking for some new tires and looking for them fast.
Yeah, John Cannizzaro Jr. is starting to fall back. Meanwhile, Philip Scott with a lunge underneath Drew Eisenman almost gets into the side of the 77. You see Philip Scott now spinning his rear tires a little bit. Now really getting in there hot, and here comes Stephen Lashinsky to the outside of the number. Doze is dozing the wall on the inside of the racetrack like a good old bulldozer. And Doziak back out in the racetrack, but he's going to fall well back to the last car on the lead lap.
Oh boy, Peter, our friend Doze, I think this is not his track. I think it's safe to say that. He was having a good run there. Like Jason Freeman in the chat said, he goes from last to ninth, and something like that happens. That really takes the wind out of your sails. As we're watching the battle between Shellman and Clark, I believe, with, Martin Plute getting sideways. These drivers are struggling with this slick racetrack, Peter. I don't know if we have the track temperature graphic. I heard it was about 120 before race. I don't know if we can pull that up. Look at that. You ask and you shall receive. 127. So this track is getting even hotter out there for these guys.
Yep, a hotter racetrack is a slicker racetrack. And in fact, caution flag is out, and we see the number 2 of Justin White has gone around. Was the causer of the first caution flag here tonight. Let's see if we can see what happened again under this one. First time, Garrett, he spun it out of turn number 2. This time looks like he gets loose between turn number 3 and 4. Cannot lock it down. Boinks the inside wall. And that will be our third caution flag of the night here on lap number 58. And that will pretty much bring a good majority of the field down pit road, one would think. Let's see if that is the case. The pit road is open. Here comes James Miller leading your leaders onto pit lane for the first time here tonight. Jason Gracias, Maxwell Castro, looks like John Cannizzaro, Drew Eisenman, Stephen Lashinsky, Philip Scott back there, Corey Shellman, Race Clark, Martin Plute, and back behind them Brady Smith, as all of these drivers now getting into their pit box. You see Maxwell Castro is the driver with the very first pit stall at the very end of pit road. I don't know if you'd call that the first pit stall or the last pit stall. I think I've always called it the first pit stall number 1, because that's the pit stall number that NASCAR assigns that one. See Drew Eisenman rolling. Looks like Philip Scott's going to pick up a spot to Stephen Lashinsky. Looks like maybe Corey Shellman going to lose a couple of spots there, as we are going to form up behind the pace car here. Justin White is currently being scored lap down. On the tail end of the lead lap, we should say. Stephen Doziak Jr., sorry about hitting my microphone there. I believe he was still on the lead lap, so he's not going to get a Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award for this upcoming restart. But Doze, you can see he's been doing the extracurriculars with that inside wall in the backstretch there. We saw him lose it a couple laps ago. Let's see if we can actually go back and see exactly what happened to Stephen Doziak Jr. when he lost control of that race car. Remember, Doziak had some problems in the opening 10 to 15 laps. Let's see what happened right here. We've just gotten into the top 10 and just too much beans off the corner, and finds that red and white wall down there. It's not exactly a candy cane. It's not very sweet when you hit that inside wall here.
No, that's for sure, Peter, and that's twice tonight we've seen Steven Doziak and Justin White combine pretty much to join forces on the yellow. Doze spins, doesn't bring up the yellow. This time, Justin ends up. Oh, I'm sorry, Doze brought up the yellow this time. Justin the last time. This time it benefits Doze. It's just these two guys. Come on, guys. I know you're both talented. It's just proving how hard this racetrack is out there for these guys to drive with the conditions and the slickness, and even the guys with the new tires were out there struggling. So with these guys all making their first pit stops tonight, Peter, and I'm assuming they were probably cranking some brake bias, cranking it down. So I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys struggle on new tires here again, because they just ran 60 laps on that first set.
iRacing pace car lights have turned off. It will head down pit road. James Miller choosing the inside line for this restart right here, and he will get to that white line, holds his groove right there. Don't want to have any lane changes here in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. Miller now chops up in front of Jason Grossi. Is back behind, however, some good racing back here. Drew Eisenman trying to get to the outside of Philip Scott. Those two have been racing rather hard pretty much this entire race. Back behind them, Race Clark in the number 22 starting to creep up into the picture as well. The number 22 National Aeronautics and Space Administration Ford Mustang right there. And he said it was a bit of a surprise to see him so far back, and he is now charging his way back up towards the front. Maxwell Castro, I thought he might have opened the door for Philip Scott for a brief moment, but it doesn't look like that's the case. You see some smoke there. We're hearing that Glenn Grimm might have just had a moment. Let's see if we can see what happened to the 08 machine. Also, Jordan Shepler has gone off the racetrack as well, gone into the inside wall. So let's see what happened here to Glenn. Working his way out of turn number 2, locked it up, and he was far enough back at the end of the field. It was A-OK, but let's see what's here happened to Jordan Shepler in the number 13, the Essentia Chevy Camaro. He's kind of had some troubles here tonight. There's all that smoke, and Shepler just spun it into the inside wall as well, and he was off the racing line, so that allowed that number 13 to not bring out the caution. That's the good news for him. Meanwhile, back out there on the racetrack, the number 17, not sure what happened there. The number 17 of John Canizaro has worked his way past Stephen Lashinsky. So move the number 17 of John Canizaro Jr. up to 8th. And we know, Garrett, he had all that damage on that machine, and he had a lengthy pit stop, 27-second stop for that number 17 crew. You'd have to think that that is more than likely to try and repair that damage. You've also heard that Jordan Shepler has made an unscheduled pit stop. He's back out there on the racetrack. However, about 3.5 laps behind James Miller right now. Glenn Grimm is in the lucky dog spot, but as I say that, now Glenn Grimm is coming down pit road, so he will fall 3 laps down here in a short while. And if Jordan Shepler can get around him, that will put Jordan Shepler back in the lucky dog position, but we'll need a couple of those Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Awards here tonight. The 09 of James Miller has again scooted away up to a 1-second race lead. We know that Miller really enjoys a slippery race car, and that's what he has here tonight. James Miller, who has been a wheelman since joining the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series here on 3 Wide TV. Yet to win, but could tonight be the night? We're closing in on the halfway mark, and Miller has just about led every lap here tonight. We're just 3 laps away from the cross flags. Looking a little bit further back, Martin Plute, John Canizaro Jr., they're locked in a little bit of a battle here. Garrett, looks like right now this is a battle for the 7th spot.
Yeah, 7th spot. Wow, Martin Plute way too high in that corner. I don't know if he was letting those guys go or just ended up getting too high and getting into the marbles there, but the battle for 7th wasn't a long one. It was John Canizaro and Lashinsky ended up passing Plute there. And we'll see if Plute could rebound and get his car back in the groove here as we take a look at the good-looking number 77 of Drew Eisenman, who is right behind Philip Scott here. Philip Scott's pulled away a little bit. As you can see, the gap between our first 5 cars.
Yep, you can see James Miller, who just about has a full straightaway now on Drew Eisenman in the number 77 machine. And you have about a third of the straightaway to the number 1 of Jason Gracias. So I gotta say, the 09 of Miller really putting on a clinic so far here tonight. A little bit more smoke coming out of turn number 2. I think that might be due to Jordan Scheffler again. It has not been his night in the Essentia Chevy Camaro. You can see him get loose out of turn number 2, spin down into the candy cane wall right there, and kind of bounces off it, and I think he just takes a tow back to pit road. East Day green flag as that is off the racing surface. That's the good news. Back on board Drew Eisenman where we left off. He's still trying to run down the number 99 Philip Scott, but he has Race Clark and John Cannizzaro starting to breathe down his neck as Eisenman started this race in 5th. Assuming 6th, he's now running in 5th. Race Clark, on the other hand, biggest mover of the race so far, trying to pick up our Taz Racing Customs biggest mover of the race award. He ends a big wiggle out of turn number 4, catches the number 22 Ford, keeps it pointing in the right direction. John Cannizzaro now looking to his inside, trying to capitalize on that mistake by that Ford Mustang driver right there. But gotta say, that Derek Cope inspired throwback scheme. Remember, Derek Cope won the 1991 Daytona 500 in that particular scheme. Why John Cannizzaro is out there sporting that look here tonight is a little bit of a throwback to a throwback racetrack. And of course, we haven't mentioned it here tonight, Garrett, but this racetrack, North Wilkesboro Speedway, has not held a NASCAR race since the mid-90s. And recent news coming out of the Carolinas is that the state is giving them, I believe, $17 or so million. It's in the order of $15 to $20 million to get this racetrack back up to snuff to host NASCAR races. So I hope, and demolition has already started on some of the dilapidated buildings here at this facility that exist in real life. I really hope that they can restore this racetrack, they can get NASCAR back, they can put the safer barrier up, they can do all the things they need to get this racetrack back to racing status. Also, Nashville Fairgrounds, they are going to have a newly envisioned racetrack. There's been a new plan set in stone to get Nashville Fairgrounds back to NASCAR, to get, Cup Series action there. As part of the same bill that gave North Wilkesboro money. Of course, Nashville's in Tennessee, but North Wilkesboro's in North Carolina. Cannizzaro going drifting. Like Adam Dama said in the chat, we're going drifting tonight, boys. Well, that's what John Cannizzaro just did there through turns number 1 and 2. But a part of the same bill that gave North Wilkesboro money, they're also giving money to Rockingham Speedway, which of course used to host NASCAR races into the early 2000s. So unfortunately, North Carolina lost Rockingham Speedway as well as North Wilkesboro in about a 10-year span, give or take a couple of years. But now they're trying to give them some money to get those tracks back up to snuff, and hopefully they can get on the NASCAR schedule. There's not a lot of racetracks out there, in my opinion, that have as much flavor and pizzazz as this racetrack that you're looking at. Same thing with Rockingham Speedway. They are two of my favorite racetracks in the entire sim because they're both in iRacing. Race Clark in the wall. Race Clark in the wall. Just drove it into turn number 1 and 2 too hard. Back end comes out. He's still trying to save that machine. Garrett, you mentioned brake bias, but now Steven Lashinsky's gone into turn number 3 and 4 too hard. Comes down the racetrack. Almost gets into the side of Race Clark. Action happening in this little group of 3 right now as Clark again gets loose in turn number 1 and 2. He's still trying to save it. It's like an ice rink out there.
Yeah, Peter, if it wasn't 127 degrees on the track, I would think there's ice out there or perhaps oil out there, but we know that's not the case on iRacing. But these guys, this track is giving these guys everything they can handle, and I think Race Clark is hoping they install those safer barriers sooner rather than later, Peter. But to echo everything you said, I could not agree more. I hope NASCAR comes back to these tracks. I hope they renovate them and get them up to standards, because NASCAR is doing a great job in recent years finally diversifying the schedule and taking away some of the cookie cutter tracks that we've been dealing with. So I can't wait to see what they do with North Wilkesboro, as we're looking at a battle between two of our chase contenders, Jason Gracias, who's getting loose, and Maxwell Castro, who's going to capitalize and get underneath him there for position.
Yeah, so that's how Maxwell Castro got up into the second spot in the number 15 Next Level Racing Chevy Camaro, and you can see he's already stretched out about a 1.3 second gap to Jason Gracias in the number 1 machine. Philip Scott is not a chase driver. He's running in 4th right now. Drew Eisenman is in 5th, but then you have to go about 3 seconds back to John Canizaro Jr. running in the 6th position right now. Steven Lashinsky back behind him. Race Clark, we know he's been fighting an extremely loose race car. Brady Smith right back behind him is in 9th. And then you have to go even further back to find Steven Doziak, who is no longer bulldozing walls in the number 55. He rounds out your top 10. Corey Shellman in the number 9 is back behind him in 11th. Jason Shue right there on your screen is in 12th. The last driver on the lead lap is Justin White in the number 2 machine. Martin Plute has, just recently left the racetrack, entered the pit lane, and called it a night. So Martin Plute made it to the halfway mark, saw the cross flags, and said, "That's it for me here tonight, folks. I'm out." So unfortunately, Martin Plute is off the racetrack. But speaking of off the racetrack, we have another driver off the racetrack, and it's been a driver who's been struggling with an extremely loose race car, and it is Race Clark, who has gone around coming out of turn number 2. Garrett could not save it forever. Good news is he kept it somehow off the inside wall, does a 360, and keeps on going. But that was enough to see the caution flag wave. Meanwhile, leaders are on pit road here.
Well, leaders on pit road, Peter. They could definitely make the end from here based on the numbers we've seen so far. I believe that to be the case. But Race did a tremendous job saving that car from a worse fate than what happened there. As I love this camera angle, Peter, we're able to see these guys getting off pit road, and the 09 will continue to be our leader, it looks like. And he's made it look easy so far, Peter.
Yeah, you see the rest of the field now pulling out of their pit box. There is the number 09 machine, Justin White in the number 2. He will currently, I think, be scored second. Not sure if that was 2 tires stop. No, he did not stop under this caution flag yet. So we'll see whether or not that stays the same, or whether or not as the field starts to form up. You see the field is very much scattered. There we go. So the 09, the 2, the 15, the 77. What happened to the 99 to Philip Scott under this particular pit stop cycle? He lost a ton of track position in the National Ninja League machine. That's bad news for the Philip Scott fans in the chat. Drew Eisenman now up into 3rd. Gracias slid back to 4th. Lashinsky now up into the top 5 for the first time here tonight. But I believe that our first... Well, no, I take it back. We will not have a Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner, because Jordan Shepler, Glenn Grimm, and Martin Plute, they were all drivers off the lead lap. And Garrett, they're all off the racetrack. So no Lucky Dog to give out.
Peter, are we certain that the number 2 was not a lap down at the time of yellow? I believe on our ticker it showed him as 1 lap down, and he just pitted, so he couldn't have taken the wave around. So if he's showing on the lead lap, I'm assuming he may have gotten, but I've been wrong before, Peter, so please let us all know.
We'll find out. We'll figure out for the chat. If he got the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award, we'll make sure to bring up the graphic. Let's figure out whether or not that was the case for the folks in the chat. Looks like, whether or not he was on the lead lap, to be perfectly honest with you, because Anyway, we'll sort that out later because we're back live on board with Justin White. As right now, something happened off towards turn number 1. Maxwell Castro went up the racetrack. We're back green flag here on lap number 100. Just 50 laps to go this time by. And Eisenman, he hasn't been higher than the 4th spot before this last pit stop cycle. He's racing with the number 15. He slides the back end of the Eisen Designs Mustang. He's trying to get all he can get out of it, but looks like Castro going to hold tough around the outside. Castro going to stay in the 2nd spot. He's going to try and run down the 09 machine of Miller. No one's been able to do that here tonight. Meanwhile, things starting to get a little bit more single file, a little bit further back. Let's check out Brady Smith, who's racing with Race Clark, who just brought out that caution flag a little bit ago. John Cannizzaro looking to the inside now of the number 10 of Brady Smith. We know Canizzaro's had short run pace, but Garrett, he's really struggled with the long run pace on the number 17 machine.
Yeah, Peter, a lot of guys are out there struggling, and Cannizzaro is someone that we expect to see hot lap a lot of the time. I mean, he's had some good runs, but we know him to be fast out of the gate and usually continuously fast, but like you said, we have not seen that tonight. But this track seems to be tough for guys even like Jason Gracias, who normally save their tires and over the course of a long green flag run are able to make ground, but so far nobody's been able to come close to the 09 of James Miller.
No, and no one's close to him right now either, as he has pulled out to about a 1.2 second lead. If you're checking on the poll that we have up right now, or maybe you're not checking on the poll because maybe you're watching this on video on demand, the question was raised in the chat earlier: mac and cheese with or without ketchup? If you're watching this video right now on demand and you're not watching it live, we want to know in the comments section what you think about this poll. I will say right now there's been 12 votes on the poll, 3 votes for yes, you put ketchup on your mac and cheese, 9 votes against putting ketchup on your mac and cheese. I can't vote because I made the poll, but if I was to add to the poll, I would say no. I would say no. Garrett, what's your opinion on this? Oh, contact! The 99 goes around to Philip Scott coming up the racetrack, and there might have been a little bit of contact there. Garrett will put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. But let's sort out what happened here to Philip Scott and the number 1 of Jason Gracias.
Well, Peter, as far as this incident goes, and as far as ketchup on mac and cheese, the answer is not good, is my opinion on both. And we're going to watch 2 friends and mostly teammates here, Jason Gracias and Philip Scott. They're going to end up making some contact. Let's see what happens. And it looks like the 99 just ran on the racetrack there, and he's going to bounce off the wall. I call it a Johnny Williams, and right across the nose of Jason Gracias.
Comes down the racetrack, and I mean, really, you know, Jason Gracias didn't kind of give him a lot of room there. Those drivers, Philip Scott there just missing the pit wall as well. Not sure what that was about, but let's see if we can get the blimp cam going here that we somehow pay to go to every single racetrack we have here on 3Wide TV, and let's see if we can slow this down because the 99 surely hits the wall, but the 1 is coming up the racetrack a little bit too, and I think he just might have been lured up there by the 99 who smacked the wall. They make contact, and the bad news for Jason Gracias is he's going to lose another spot to Steven Lashinsky before that caution came out. Yeah, not a good turn of events there for the number 1 of Jason Gracias, who our good friend Chris Starling. Hey, we miss you out there, Chris. I was rooting for in the chat before that happened. Looks like Philip Scott's going to take this opportunity to get some damage fixed, probably calm himself down. Philip is he gets wound up pretty tight out there, Peter, and I'm glad he's been able to control himself for the most part, but he can't be happy after that turn of events there. A race that I expected him to run well at, considering the track conditions. Ahidi Rigg saying folk who eat ketchup with mac and cheese are definitely the same folk who eat Kraft with microwaved hot dogs cut up into it. I'll be honest with you, folks. I've never microwaved a single hot dog in my life. But more people are voting for yes. So we've had an extra yes vote in the chat, and now the no votes is a nice 69% of the vote to yes, which has a not so nice 31%. So, I don't know, folks. This is an interesting discussion that we have here. Chris Darling chiming in as well. He appears to be a fan of the ketchup on the mac and cheese. Rooting on Jason Gracias just before Jason Gracias gets involved in an accident. Stephen Doziak Jr. is asking, what are you talking about? Zaytoon Sports saying the people who have the craft with the microwaved hot dogs, they know what they're talking about. And Johnny Williams, Garrett, in the chat here tonight, he's not a big fan of your comment there from the looks of things. But of course, Johnny going back with us in Total Non-Stop Racing League for quite some long time. It's just a bit of banter there, Johnny. But looks like the pace car is about to head down pit road. So, Garrett, we're going to have a 38-lap shootout here at North Wilkesboro. And Stephen Dozier Jr. saying he's a pro microwave cooker right here. So, green flag waves again. Some wheel spin out of some of our top contenders. Drew Eisenman, one of those drivers who had a little bit of wheel spin. He's there to the inside of Maxwell Castro again. And look who snuck his way up to fourth. That's Steven Lashinsky in the number 69 machine, with Canizaro looking underneath him.
Lashinsky is really having an impressive run, Peter. We saw him take advantage of some guys' misfortunes, but he's put himself solidly in the top 5 battle here. And if he can hold off Canizaro, he's really going to show these guys that he has the speed to be a contender tonight. But probably not contender for that 09 as he's looked like the class of the field. But Peter, I just wanted to mention one thing for those of us who weren't for those who were not watching the Super Speedway race last night in the National Sim Racing Association. The Xfinity Series driver Ryan Vargas came to join us, and he ended up winning that race, and he was thrilled with the green flag racing that this league provides. So I just wanted to give him a shout out, tell everyone what a great job they did. That was an absolute blast. He edged Matthew Rodriguez out for the win, and we're seeing another good race here tonight.
Well, hopefully we can get Vargas racing some other nights here in this particular series. The number 2 machine of Justin White, who may or may not have got the Lucky Dog Award a little while ago. He is now running in the 8th spot, but almost went around for the 3rd time tonight. He's already gone around twice. There's Corey Shellman, who just had a big moment. Let's see if we can see what happened to Corey Shellman. I think this is going to be basically a rinse and repeat of what we have seen several times here tonight out of Justin White, and among some others, as Shellman just breaks loose coming off the corner, and this time unable to avoid the candy cane inside wall. Of course, we're moving towards the holiday season. There's James Miller up there as your race leader. He goes off into turn number 3. Maxwell Castro rides in second. Drew Eisenman under fire from John Canizaro Jr. This is a great run for Eisenman, just what he needed to kick off the chase. Meanwhile, we'll just take a look at the point standings entering in tonight. Jason Gracias was the points leader by 5 points over Chris Darling, who's not on the racetrack, is in our chat tonight. Matt Cherry, we don't know what happened to Cherry. We have not seen him. As behind this graphic, the number 17 of John Canizaro Jr. is looking to make a pass on Drew Eisenman. That would be for the 3rd spot. Eisenman looks like he's going to hold on. And caution flag. Caution flag is out. Caution flag is out. We're hearing that a chase driver has gone around Race Clark in the number 22 machine. Garrett, again, let's see what happened here. Let's see if it's another single car accident or whether or not he got some help from one of these other cars. Just drove off into turn number 1. Back end sticks out, and he goes around. There goes the number 3 of Jason Shue going on by. Corey Shellman there almost becoming collateral damage, but that little spin gets us back under caution. We also are hearing that Stephen Doziak Jr., while we were still under green flag conditions, might have had another moment. Let's see what happened to Doze here coming out of turn number 2. Just locks it up and avoids the does not avoid the inside wall. Kind of just clattered it right there. He comes back up on the racetrack, and Doze is bulldozering again here at bulldozering is probably not a verb. It's I don't know. Maybe it is a verb. You'll have to look it up. And we've had another vote in the poll to say no. So we're at now. I'm going to say 3 votes for yes, no, 4 votes for yes, and 10 votes for no. That's where the votes and the poll stands right now. As we're close to 25 laps to go, we did have some takers on pit road. Drew Eisenman in the number 77 came down pit road, put on his final set of tires. Brady Smith also came down, put on a final set of tires. But right now, your top 7 all staying out here, Garrett.
Yeah, Peter, 4 sets of tires in the pits, and then some of these guys are taking advantage of them. Nobody's had anything for the 09 all night. I would definitely try to be on a different strategy than he is, and I'm surprised more people didn't come there and put a set of tires on and hope this thing goes green to the end. And I just wanted to go back to Doziak. That's 3 times he's gone to that same part of the racetrack. There has to be a fat chick there that he's interested in, and he just wants to get close and get a better look, because there's no other excuse for doing that 3 times in one race, Peter.
I mean, probably something like that, something of the sort. We might just have to ask him at some point. Doze, what's down there? You're probably right. It probably is well, in his eyes, someone that he might be attracted to on the inside of the racetrack there. I'm not exactly sure. We'll have to hear it from the horse's mouth. Doziak saying, easy for you sitting in the box. Doze, drive better, buddy. Adam Dama saying, I graduated from microwave to a hot plate. Johnny Williams saying, Doze does love those fat chicks in the chat. So, yep, definitely something going on there out of turn number 2. Doze, just calm down there, bud. Pace car lights are off, so we'll have a 25-lap shootout here in chase race number 1. James Miller, Max Castro, your front row here. Second row, John Canizaro Jr., Stephen Lashinsky. Green flag about to come out. We'll see what the fresh tires can do. Drew Eisenman back there in 8th. 4th car on the outside line on the fresh tires behind Jason Gracias, another chase driver. Let's see what he can do with the fresh boots on the 77. James Miller in the 09 gets away to a good start, but Max Castro here, Garrett, is trying to show that he has some metal, trying to go around the outside of the 09 machine in turn number 3 and 4, going to slot into single file.
That was the best battle I think the 09 has had all night. Max Castro on his bumper, and he's taking a little bit of a different entry and exit the corner there than the 09. And so far, he's not letting him get out of the sight, as we're watching the Eisen Design 77 in a battle here with Lashinsky and looking towards Jason Gracias and the rest of the top 5.
On fresh tires as well, might I add. He's already gone from 8th. He's jumped up 1 spot to 7th. This would be for 6th spot, and looks like Eisenman will take it away. Lashinsky, who was 4th on that last restart, has fallen back to 7th. Jason Gracias in the number 1 has gone from 6th now up into 5th on this restart, so a good restart for him. Here comes John Canizaro Jr. looking to the inside of Maxwell Castro now, as Castro gets loose coming out of turn number 2. That is allowing James Miller to scoot away. He's liking what he's seeing in his rearview mirror, because the more they race for second, the more Miller can check out.
Absolutely. Not like he needs the help out there, Peter, but you're exactly right. These guys racing for second place is only helping expand that lead, and you don't want to be doing that if you're these guys, because he's been able to put a 2-second gap on the field with no problem for the majority of the night. So these guys need to get it sorted out. Whoever the faster car is needs to get to the front of this pack and try to chase down that 09.
Meanwhile, Drew Eisenman, as Philip Scott has a huge lunge underneath the 17 of John Canizaro Jr. You could throw a blanket over these 4 cars right here. Eisenman has to get off the throttle early on entry into the corner, because he doesn't want to run into the back of that number 99 machine. But Philip Scott, who had such a huge lunge, another huge lunge. They make contact there as Eisenman able to scoot on through. Caution flag waves here at North Wilkesboro.
Well, Peter, there goes a couple of our contenders, it looks like, at least for the time being. We just talked bragging about John Canizaro and even Philip Scott. But let's watch this as they head into turn 1.
And you can see Philip Scott back end. Looks like it's kind of slight. Looks like he's just sliding that number 99 machine. You can see he's nowhere from the bottom side of the racetrack. They make contact, and Canizaro kind of goes up the racetrack and makes no contact with the outside wall there. And looks like the number 99 of Philip Scott also kind of had a moment there. Let's see if we can see what happened to him. In fact, let's see if we can go on board. This might tell the story here with Philip Scott. Go on board with him right there. And it didn't look like the car was loose. It just didn't look like it was turning. And gets up into John Canizaro Jr. a little bit. He goes through the grass to get that thing pointed in the right direction. Let's bring out the blimp cam again here on 3-Wide TV. We're going to have a restart inside 20 laps to go. Eisenman, who's on fresh tires, he's going to get himself up into second. And you see right there, the 7-99 has that moment. NSRA having a little bit bigger moment. They're going to lose all their track position. But interesting things just happened, Garrett. Out there on the racetrack, while we were watching that replay, Maxwell Castro in the number 15 came down pit lane. And with Castro coming down pit lane, he has fallen all the way back to the 10th position. We saw Eisenman able to pick up a couple of spots in about 5 laps. But Castro now has a lot of drivers in front of him. A lot of drivers in front of him. 9 to be correct. If he wants to win this race tonight, he's going to have to charge through the field. Meanwhile, with him coming down pit road, it's put Drew Eisenman up into second on fresher tires. James Miller last pitted on lap number 95. Eisenman pitted on lap number 121. So only 26 lap difference between those tires. But could that be the difference? We've seen Miller be so strong here tonight, but now the car right behind him has fresher tires.
Yeah, Peter, it definitely could make the difference. And like I talked about a couple of cautions ago, you want to be on a different strategy than the 09. Heads up, I don't think these guys could beat him tonight. He's that good out there. But with the 20-lap tire advantage, I think Drew Eisenman is definitely a contender for this. And I would not count out Maxwell Castro, who just pitted. There has to be a reason. He gave the 09 everything he had, realized he probably wasn't going to be able to pass him, so he went and he's going to put those tires on. Will there be enough laps to get to the front? I don't know, but if he definitely has a shot at doing it.
Definitely does have a shot. The iRacing pace car lights have turned off, so we will have a restart with 13 laps to go here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Folks in the chat, the poll is ending on the mac and cheese and ketchup discussion. So, resounding win for mac and cheese does not go with ketchup. Green flag is back out. A little bit of wheel spin out of the back of the number 77 Eisen Designs Ford Mustang, but he has a huge charge off into turn number 1 and 2. Going to stave off a charge from the number 1 of Jason Gracias, but we're going to be side by side for the race lead, and this is something James Miller has not had to put up with a lot here tonight. Eisenman, can he do the over-under on the 09? No, he cannot. Miller, the Canadian driver, up at the front of the field. Tim Hortons on the hood of the 09, and he's going to stay steadfast to the bottom side of the racetrack. Meanwhile, there's a wreck in turn number 1. There's a car around. We're hearing it's Justin White. Let's see if we can see what happened to Justin White, but now caution flag is going to come out. Let's see if we can see what happened here, Garrett.
Yeah, Peter, that was shaping up to be a heck of a battle there for the lead. As we're watching a little bit further in the back, we see even on the inside, Maxwell Castro on those new tires. Justin White, who's been struggling most of the night here. Oh, it was not Justin White at all. Race Clark ended up getting some help there in the corner, and Justin White was just collateral damage. Let's take another look at that, Peter.
Race Clark, who by far has had the worst luck this season. He has called himself the punching bag because it seems like every week he ends up in some type of a mess. Just gets tagged there by Maxwell Castro and goes up the racetrack, does a great job of locking it down and saving as much of the track position as he could. But unfortunately for Justin White, not so lucky on the number 2 machine. Let's go on board with Justin White right here. Let's see what he saw out of this. And he's pretty much an innocent bystander here, Garrett. Nothing really Justin White could have done.
No, not at all, Peter. As soon as he decided to be in that position on the racetrack, he was just at the will of those guys on the inside. When they ended up doing that, he had nowhere to go, and his night continues to be a rough one. And that's a shame because Justin's one of those guys that really looks forward to the series. He runs the series. He wants to have fun, and I don't think he's been having much fun tonight with all the situations he's gotten in with his own doing and doing of others out there, Peter.
So that will bring out the caution flag here. We're now down to just 9 more laps to go. James Miller is your race leader. Been dominant here tonight. Has almost led every single lap, bar the first 9 to 10 or so. And I yeah, I can't think of another time where someone else has led this entire race. So, been so strong. Really deserves to get this win here tonight. We will have a restart probably with 6 more laps to go. We know Drew Eisenman, 3 wide TV zone. He'll be up here in the booth alongside tomorrow night. Actually, I take that back. I'm probably not going to be here tomorrow night. I think Carlos Acosta will be doing the broadcast tomorrow night, as I have other plans in store for the Friday night. So will most likely be missing, but Drew Eisenman should be up here in the booth calling that race with either Carlos or someone else yet to be named. So, but James Miller in the 09 machine is your race leader here, Garrett. 6 lap shootout as the pace car lights have turned off.
Yeah, these laps ticking away, Peter, not helping these guys with the new tires. They wanted to make that move on that last restart, and hopefully it would stay green for them, but that wasn't the case. So 6 laps, the tires have probably neutralized a little more because we're under yellow again, but we'll see. It's going to be key to get a good restart here if you're the 09 and the 77. You don't want to let each other get out of each other's sights, and we'll see what happens, buddy. It's going to be a bumpy 6 laps, so let's tighten those belts and give it hell.
The belts are tightened. James Miller off to a... Oh, man. I was just about to exclaim because Jason Gracias and Drew Eisenman were really tight. Here we are side by side for the race lead, though Eisenman dives into turn number 3 late. We're coming to just 5 more laps to go. Maxwell Castro in the number 15. Eisenman with a wiggle coming out of turn number 4. That's allowed Miller to clear the number 77. Castro in the number 15. He's on fresher tires than even Eisenman is. He's now closing in. Caution flag, however, out. We're going to have a Beer Street Journal last call. Let's see what happened to the number 2 machine of Justin White, who we have heard has gone around yet again here tonight, Garrett.
Boy, Justin, I feel bad for you, brother. You made it into the chase, and then you've had a night like this. What a night to forget. But I might take that car out back and maybe put it out of its misery after this race. I don't think it deserves to see another race, that's for sure.
Yeah, looks like Garrett, he was racing Steven Doziak Jr. really hard. Goes into turn number 3. I don't think there was any contact there with Corey Shellman, but White goes up the racetrack, hits the wall, and then comes down across the nose of the 55 of Steven Doziak Jr., who's continuing his bulldozing ways. Of course, not of his own doing this time. Let's see if we can get kind of an onboard look from the number 2 machine, and goes off into the corner here, going to the outside of the number 9 machine, and it just stops turning there in the center of the corner, gets loose, comes down, gets tagged by the 55, and ends up stopped on the inside of the racetrack. Gets pointed in the right direction pretty quickly, but caution flag does come out. So we will have a 2-lap shootout when we go back green here in just a moment. We have the Beer Street Journal last call. In fact, one of the few Beer Street Journal last calls that we've had recently here in the National Sim Racing Association. Of course, they are the sponsor of the National Sim Racing Association Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. If you have not checked out beerstreetjournal.com yet here tonight, well, now is the time to do so. You can read up about that Guinness Mint Chocolate Stout that they have going on right now. In fact, I believe it's being brewed over here. It's being aged in Kentucky bourbon barrels. It's going to come in at 10.6% alcohol. So pretty high for Guinness. Of course, it's not the Guinness over in Ireland. It's the Guinness out of Baltimore, Maryland. That's where their brewery is here in the U.S. But nonetheless, it is going to be really cool to see what they are going to provide in terms of that. I'm hoping that we can get it here in Texas. We'll just have to see whether or not that's going to be the case. It's going to be coming in 4-pack bottle sets, so you can go out there and find that hopefully in one of your local beer stores, beer shops. I know we have some craft beer shops near me. I love frequenting those places. I know Jason Freeman likes frequenting those types of places. Not Jason Freeman. Jason Gracias, likes to frequent those places because he came into tonight with a Grapefruit Smash Devil's Backbone Distilling IPA, 10% alcohol, so that's kind of a fairly heavy smash beer. Very cool looking out of Devil's Backbone Distilling Company. And currently, he's riding inside the top 3. So maybe that grapefruit smash, bringing him some luck here tonight. We'll see if it has any more luck here in a little bit. Can Drew Eisenman squeak out a win? Can James Miller hold on? He's been the dominant car all night long. Pace car is onto pit road. Green flag is back in the air. A little bit of wheel spin out the back of the number 77 of Eisenman. Again, Miller able to scoot away, but the side-by-side battle is for third. These are 2 chase drivers racing it out. We're coming to the white flag this time. Jason Gracias and Maxwell Castro giving each other some room. Looks like Phillips got late on the brakes. We're going to be side by side for the lead. Contact between Eisenman and Miller, and Gracias goes into the inside wall. The 15 goes up into the wall. We'll stay green flag. Phillips Scott's up into second. Brady Smith now up into fourth. Now Brady Smith, it goes up into second. They're wrecking out back behind. More cars going around, but James Miller's clear of all the madness. He's going to come around to win here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Cannizzaro in second, and Brady Smith, best finish of the season for the John Deere number 10, finishing in third. What a wild final lap.
Peter, we're going to have to watch this replay about 5 times to get all that went on in that last restart there. Some incredibly close battles, and that was bound to happen. I was talking to Adam Dama in the chat. I thought potentially the second row, third or fourth place would be able to come away with the win, as Race Clark and Philip Scott have a little bit of a coming together on pit road. But James Miller, well-deserved win. He dominated this race. He deserved the win, and now he's doing the celebratory burnouts. But let's see what happened on that last restart.
Well, we'll let James Miller celebrate here, the winner here tonight of Chase Race number 1, playing spoiler of the chase drivers, because he's not one of those. And we knew Miller would find a way to victory lane at some point, and he did so on the short track. He's extremely good at these short tracks, and he's going to burn it down in the Tim Horton machine. Got kind of a holiday vibe to it, and he's going to just start drifting around the racetrack. We saw a lot of drifting here tonight. James Miller going to add to the tire marks out there that we saw there coming to that final lap. Let's see if we can now go back and highlight all the craziness that happened coming to the white flag. It all started up kind of at the front of the field. Let's see if we can kind of slow it down for everyone at home. And this is when we were 2x2 for not only the race lead, but second. And Drew Eisenman, I think, comes out of the corner here. Watch the number 77 up at the left side of your screen. He gets a little bit loose here, Garrett. You see him trying to put some wheel into save the car, but then they make contact. The 09 and the 77 make contact, and that puts the 77 up into the wall. And then back behind, they kind of start yo-yoing, and then Gracias becomes a ping pong ball, shoots up the racetrack into Maxwell Castro. Castro finishes this race in 13th, Gracias in 12th. Meanwhile, a little bit further up, then we can find up around, I think, Brady Smith. You see, Eisenman did save the 77 machine. In fact, he was able to come home in 6th. Then watch what happened to Philip Scott and John Cannizzaro. The 99 and the 17, they make contact right there. And then Philip Scott gets sent up the racetrack. He starts to lose the back end. Ping pongs down into Brady Smith. Eisenman able to scoot on through. Steven Lashinsky able to somehow scoot on through. Maybe. No, the 69 starts to go sideways. Eisenman still trying to save that car. Going well up the racetrack. Here comes Race Clark scooting on through. And look who finished this race in the 4th position. Mr. Doziak himself bulldozing his way on through. Holy smokes, the Lashinsky still trying to say it. We're in slow-mo, and we're commentating this like it's happening at full speed. Here comes Corey Shellman trying to stick his nose 3 wide in between Eisenman and Lashinsky. They start ping-ponging, more contact, and then Eisenman gets tagged again in the 77 machine. Shellman in the number 9 gets tagged by the number 2 of Justin White, and then Eisenman somehow, some way, somehow, I think, maybe not, I think maybe Justin White got Drew Eisenman to relegate him down to 7th there at the line, but drivers are smoking. More damage was done in that brief moment than any other time of the entire race. Wicked finish.
Wicked finish, Peter. One of the more intense finishes I think you'll ever see here on 3Y TV. And there's going to be a lot of disappointed drivers tonight who were in position for a good points finish to set their chase hopes off on the right foot. And we're going to have some guys who are thrilled with their finish, such as Steven Doziak, Miller, the number 10. There's guys that just came out of this race with an unexpectedly good run. And that's something to be proud of if you're in those camps.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we had to do some moderation for everyone in the chat. Do apologize for that. Can't do anything about spam bots coming in. But the number 9 machine of James Miller did a stellar burnout. And we're going to have a wild post-race here for everyone in the chat to get to talk to our top 3 finishers here tonight. In fact, let's see if we can dial up tonight's 3rd place finisher. Garrett, why don't you take it away with Brady Smith?
Hey, Brady. Wow, 3rd place. You came out of nowhere there after that last restart and came home with a podium finish. Tell us a little bit about that last restart and how you wound up in 3rd.
I kind of knew that was going to fall that way. They were getting a little bit wild, the previous restarts up front. And I just kind of knew it was going to end up at the demolition derby and got through it somehow.
You certainly did, and you mentioned it was a demolition derby. We talked about on the broadcast how the track was slick. There was a lot of wheel spin. How did you race the racetrack tonight, and how did it feel to you being out there for 160 laps or so?
Was the back end of the car kept getting loose on the exit. I had to be real light on the throttle to not self-spin it like a few people did during the race, and I guess it worked out for me in the end, keeping my car clean for what I could.
Yeah, this was a tremendous points day for you. You're starting this chase off on the right foot. Next week, we're headed to Kentucky. Do you have any thoughts going into that race? Do you typically run well there?
I do a lot better at 1.5s than I do short tracks. I'm not a short track racer. This is actually a surprising finish for me. I'm just as happy as I could be.
It was a surprising finish for us here in the booth, too, and not just talking about you, just the way things transpired there. But congratulations on the podium finish as we head into Kentucky next week. The floor is yours if you have any shout-outs you'd like to give before we let you go.
Shout out my girlfriend for watching, my brother. I got a few people tuning into these things every week. I thank y'all for y'all support and watching me finish 8th or 9th every week until now. Been great.
Well, congratulations, Brady. Hopefully this is the start of something big, and you contend for this chase up until the finale. I believe Peter Short has caught up with our 2nd place finisher and my own personal nemesis, John Cannizzaro. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll do the interview with John Cannizzaro. John Cannizzaro, you ended up finishing in 2nd place, had some tremendous battles out there tonight. Tell us a little bit about how this race went for you.
Yeah, let me get the list out. Where do I start on this one? Just telling James down the interview away, and I had something for him on the first 10 laps, but as you so lovingly tell me all the time, my own head gets to me, and I start overdriving the car and killing the tires. So I guess we can say it was eventful. Caught the wall a few times. Had an excursion with a good buddy of mine. I probably have to talk about that afterwards. And I mean, right place, right time. On the last restart, I started 7th and went down to turn 1 and saying, I need the whole top 5 to wreck. Look out the front windshield, and I went the top 4.
Yeah, you certainly got lucky there. That was a big pile up. You were running what Peter mentioned was a Derek Cope inspired scheme tonight. Do you think you did Derek Cope proud? I mean, we've never compared you to Derek Cope on the channel, to my recollection.
Yeah, well, last I remember of Derek Cope, he won 1 race and then he sat in the back for the rest of his career. So maybe I was doing Derek Cope right today.
Well, let's hope you don't become one of those guys that goes to the back, because you're a lot of fun to watch when you're up front racing for wins. And I think you did a good job figuring this track out tonight. We're headed to Kentucky next week. Do you think you could play spoiler there and walk away with a win?
I have a few truck wins there, but not very many Xfinity wins. So we're going to have to see on that one.
Well, we'll certainly be looking forward to it. You'll certainly give us something to talk about, that's for sure. Congratulations on 2nd place finish. Do you have any shout-outs you'd like to give? The floor is yours.
My father, you guys for putting on the broadcast up here. I enjoy hearing you crack jokes about me. I get to steal them for later on, make nicknames out of them. STIC's always in the chat with us. Jimbo there. Thanks for picking me last week for Las Vegas in the Truck Series. I appreciate that. and just everybody in this league. It's fun to drive around. Sometimes it gets a little heated, but that's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely, John. Congratulations on a second place run. This is always a great league to have these Xfinity Series races in, and thrilled that you're a part of it, bud. And we'll see if Peter actually made it to victory lane or if I'm going to have to sprint down there as well.
And I'll give you a ride.
No, I'm here in Victory Lane. I made it to Victory Lane with James Miller picking up his first career National Sim Racing Association win here in the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series. James, dominant performance. I think you could say that 10 times over here tonight in the 09 machine, leading, right, I think all but maybe the opening 5 laps or so. Just so good, able to hold off some hard chargers there late. It looked really exciting there at the last few laps. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a bit unexpected. I mean, my speed is better at short tracks, so I was expecting to be competitive, but Martinsville was didn't go so well for me. Richmond, I had some technical difficulties, so I wasn't really sure what to expect coming into this, but the set felt it was a little loose on exit, which wasn't a bad thing. I enjoyed that because it was a bit easier to handle, and the line I was running at the start of practice wasn't what I ended up running in the race, and I just kind of ran it and it stuck, and just used that, but I didn't expect the bottom to work that well. Nor did I expect to start third and get the lead. I think like the second lap. I didn't know that would happen. But yeah, the tires at the end there was a bit of a gamble. I figured, I forget if it was 20 to go. I think it was. I said to myself, might as well just ride it out, see what happens at this point. If I try to pit, I'm just gonna be too far back in the mayhem. So, I guess got lucky with all the cautions. I think probably definitely helped me and my chances. But that car took off great. It rolled the bottom beautifully. Unfortunate contact with Drew there at the end that really messed his race up. I know he's a bit upset about that. Didn't mean anything from it. He had a good 3 and 4, and I noticed that, so I gave it a bit more throttle than the times before, and it washed up the track a bit. And I think our contact would have been fine if iRacing didn't kind of amplify the contact and throw him into the wall. But he gave me a good battle there. But I'm surprised my old tires made it around that long. But it was fun. It was good.
Yeah, definitely a wild finish to this race here tonight, but a good one. I'm sure one that we'll be looking back on for quite some time. Next week, we go to Kentucky, 1.5 Speedway. What are your thoughts about Kentucky?
Don't expect tonight's race there for me because I'm horrible at 1.5 miles. My worst track, but not sure. I always get Kentucky and Kansas confused, so I can't tell you how I think I'll do because I'm probably thinking of the wrong track. So we'll see. Might hopefully have a good run. Try to save the right front. That's usually what goes for me, 1.5 miles. So keep working on that, and hope to stay out of the playoff guys' way. I guess I kind of messed up their party tonight, but it was fun.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how the points shake out after a couple of them involved in some late race incidents. But, hopefully you don't pull a micro wall trip next week and end up at the wrong track. I'm just saying. But nonetheless, congratulations on your win. I know you got some shout outs, so let's hear them.
Yeah, just shout out to all the guys in that Eisentech Prestige Worldwide group that kind of invited me along. Race, Brady, Corey, those guys have been doing amazing lately. A lot of improvement from racing them since the past year. And Drew, obviously, we had a great battle. It's always fun racing them. I know Cam was there spotting or crew chiefing, and Jerry and Michael.
Oh, Cam, you say? We might need to get him up here in the 3-wide TV booth again. But yeah, who knows? Good old Cameron Rich used to be co-commentator with me here on 3-wide TV. But congratulations on the win here tonight, James. Hope to see you again here in Victory Lane soon. Best of luck next week.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that's going to do it with our post-race winner interview of the 09 machine of James Miller. Let's see if we can bring up the final. No, we can't. Unfortunately, we cannot bring up the final race results. We will be changing to a new graphics package fairly soon. That hopefully we will sort out some of these problems. But I mean, I guess we can bring it up. It's just not very professional, unfortunately, since this most recent iRacing update kind of fiddled with a whole bunch of things. Let's see if we can pull it up. There it is. Should be coming up. There we go. You kind of got double letter and letters there. Miller takes home the win. John Cannizzaro coming home in second. Brady Smith in third. Doziak, wow, finishing in fourth. Race Clark finishing in fifth. Justin White, Drew Eisenman, a couple of chase drivers there, 6th and 7th. Jason Shue in 8th. Stephen Lashinsky, 9th. Philip Scott finishing in 10th. I'm just going to take you through the field. Corey Shellman going to finish in 11th. Jason Gracias, chase driver, 12th. 13th, Maxwell Castro, chase driver. Martin Plute, Jordan Shepler, Glenn Grimm, 16 drivers here tonight. So in summary, chase driver Brady Smith finishes in 3rd. Chase driver Race Clark finishes in 5th. Chase driver Justin White finishes in 6th. Chase driver Drew Eisenman in 7th. And then chase driver Jason Gracias 12th. Maxwell Castro, chase driver, finishing 13th. So definitely a interesting night from a points standings. Well, folks, that's going to do it for us here tonight in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. Do want to make note that, but before we go, I guess one thing more of note is the fact that our biggest mover of the race award, courtesy of Taz Racing Customs, is going to be Stephen Doziak Jr. So not only does he finish, man, I keep hitting my microphone here tonight. Sorry, folks. Sorry about that. Stephen Doziak Jr. going to finish in the 4th position. He started 14th, so he gained 10 spots. Check out Taz Racing Customs for all your custom diecast needs. But that's going to do it for us here tonight. Garrett, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts, Peter. I think I mentioned this before we went green. Maybe it was live, maybe we weren't. But some of these guys who missed the race tonight, some of their biggest competitors have rough nights, and they're only going to finish a couple spots behind them with a provisional. So this chase is far from over. It's going to be wide open, and I can't wait to see everyone at Kentucky next week.
Absolutely. Well, folks, that's going to do it for all of us here on 3 Wide TV. We hope to talk to you again soon, and we will see ya!